Hello, my name is Keith Haswell. I'm a professional astrologer with 38 years experience in the business and 25,000 clients worldwide. It's my pleasure to welcome you to my website and to my teachings. Now, you've come to my website in order to get your horoscope done, and you are to be congratulated for being a believer in astrology, because science tells us that the planets can have no impact upon us, that astrology is a load of hogwash. And what they're not taking into consideration and what their instruments can't measure is the emotional level of energy and the emotional level of consciousness, and also the mental level of energy and the mental level of consciousness. So the religions of the world are all telling us that astrology is evil and the work of the devil and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of people in the world, the vast majority, who are atheistic in their thinking, or religious in their thinking, or scientific in their thinking, and therefore don't relate to astrology. But you're relating to astrology, and you are to be congratulated. Now, astrology works because these planets are living energy forms, and they are emitting ray energies into your reality and into your consciousness. Now, these planets are having impact upon you, and impacting upon you in three main areas of your life. The three main areas that you're concerned about is your sense of security, and that comes through financial security, but also emotional and mental security, that you're not under threat from within and also from outside of yourself. And then there's the area of relationships. You want somebody to love, and you want somebody who will love you in return. And this is a major area of your life, because without relationships, whether it's relationships with people that you work with, relationships with relatives and neighbours, relationships with friends, relationships with children, relationships with loved ones, relationships with partners and spouse, relationships with business associates and so forth. These are all relationships, and your relationships are where you have an opportunity to communicate and to express your love, and also to receive love, and with the intimates in your life to be known and to be understood. These are all basic urges. And then the other one, the third one, is to do with the job. Meaningful work is a very, very important part of our sense of self-esteem and value fulfillment. Now, these planets are implementing cosmic law. They are implementing the will of the divine, what you might say. God and Goddess have got certain plans for you, and those plans are wonderful to help you to become more of who you really are through a multiplicity of lifetimes that you experience here in a space-time rule set that we know as Earth. So it's very, very exciting when you start getting into astrology more deeply, on the aspects of the spiritual side of it, and the science of meditation and reincarnation. I've written 2 books on these subjects that I'm happy to share with you in printed format, sent to you by email, or audio format with my voice and backing mystical music to take you in and out of meditation time and time again, to help you to become more of who you really are. But what we're focusing on here is your horoscope, and what I'm going to be looking at is those 3 areas of your life: your security, your relationships, and your work and employment and business and career, meaningful work. Okay, so what we have is we've got the 12 houses of the horoscope are segments of your life. And the events and conditions of your life are fitted into these 12 different categories. So you've got the first house of self-initiated efforts, you've got the second house of security and finances, the third house of communication with those close to you like relatives and neighbours, the fourth house of the home environment and the family and those who share the home environment with you, and the fifth is the segment of children and entertainments and amusements, sports, and also the sexual side of life and romance before love, romance before marriage, romance before you get serious and so forth. Then there's the sixth segment, which is health and diet, and the way to keep yourself healthy is through meaningful employment, and that fits into that category as well, the job. Then there's the seventh area, which is to do with partnerships and spouse and those who are your close intimates. And then there is the eighth house of transformation and change within yourself and the area of death. Ninth house is higher education and travel and expansion of your consciousness through religious and philosophical studies and so forth, metaphysical studies. 10th house is ambitions and high achievements and career. 11th house is to do with friends and group social activities, other people's children. And the 12th house is the house of hospitals and institutions where you can have solitude and get it all together, introspect and reflect upon what you've learnt from the other 11 houses. So it's all very complex, but it's all also down to earth where you're living and where you're experiencing your life. Now, these planets that I'm going to be working on for you in this reading are Saturn, and that takes 2.5 years in its movement through the zodiac. As it passes through the houses of your horoscope, it takes 2.5 years in one house. And Saturn is implementing the law of economy. In other words, Saturn is going to be saying to you that there must be a usage of energy, emotional, physical and mental energy, must be used wisely and economically. Any misuse of that energy must bring a corresponding adjustment to your consciousness and awareness of that misuse. And so Saturn embodies that third ray of commerce and industry and business, and also practicality and the law of economy and the wise use of energy. And so as it sits in an area of your horoscope, it's going to have a different impact than what it will with somebody with another sign, with a different sign than you. It's in a different house of their horoscope than it is with you. And so you're going to be experiencing that for 2.5 years, errors that you've made in the usage of energy over the last 26 years are going to come home to roost. And you're going to be able to learn during that time about using energy wisely and economically and practically and planning your things out practically and so forth. This includes mental energy and emotional energy as well. So I'll be looking at Saturn for you and telling you what the impact of that is shortly, and I'll tell you a little bit about yourself as well. And then there's Jupiter. Jupiter embodies the second ray of love wisdom, and it is a beautiful planet in desiring to expand and to expand your consciousness and awareness to become more of who you really are. And it does this through love, it does this through relationships, and it does this through study, research and investigation, and it does this through education, and it does this through higher thinking and learning about God and Goddess's plans for all of us. And so Jupiter takes 12 months as it moves through a particular house of your horoscope. So it sits in a house for 12 months. So I'm going to be able to tell you what is Jupiter, what is the impact of Jupiter during 2014, and what you are experiencing now prior to moving into 2014 in your life through the impact of Jupiter. So it's sitting in one of your houses of your horoscope now, and I'll tell you what the impact is now, and also 2014 it's in a different house than what it is now. So I'll be able to tell you all about that, and how you can expand and grow and reach and stretch to become more of the giant that you truly are. And then there's Mars. Mars brings energy and will and sexual energy quite often into the area of your life where it's sitting, and it can bring conflict and tension and stress and anxiety and so forth. And I'm going to be looking at the movement of Mars in the first 6 months of 2014. It's sitting stationary in one particular house of your horoscope and introducing a lot of stresses and tensions into that area of your life. And so therefore you've got to deal with that. So this is what I'm going to be working on in your personal horoscope, which I'm going to be looking at shortly. And it's nice to have you here to be able to talk with you and to share with you some of my understanding about these things. And I do this for you free of charge because I want to be of service. I've seen the impact and the benefit that thousands of people have had through going through my intensives or getting extracts out of my books and so forth, and having astrology readings done by me. And so I want to help you to also grow and reach and stretch to become more of who you really are. And so that's what we're going to be looking at in your horoscope for you now. What I'm going to do for you now, Pisces, is I'm going to tell you a few things about yourself, about your personality, and the way that you interact with life, and the way that you interact with the people that you have relationships with, and the way that you interact with the events and conditions of your life. So just sit back and relax now, and we'll have a bit of fun together and see if we can pick up on some things that you experience in life. All of us are in life in order to be able to develop wisdom. That's the end game. And we do it through experience, and we also do it through an intake of knowledge. Now, you can't develop wisdom just through experience, and you can't develop wisdom just through an intake of knowledge. It has to be a combination of the two, Pisces, and you are an expert at this. You are an expert at developing wisdom. But one of your big problems in life is that you're very soft and gentle and loving, and you're very psychic and very sensitive, and you're very easily affected by the moods and feelings of those around you, and you tend to take their pain into yourself. And you tend to experience their pain. You are very empathic and very, very affectionate, highly emotional, very psychic, but deeply spiritual. And you can, though, Pisces, be your own worst enemy. Sometimes you can do things which are not in your own best interests. You can sabotage yourself. Now, you do this subconsciously because you don't love yourself. You have some things from your past that are parts of your secrets and parts of your sense of shame. And these are things that you don't openly discuss with other people. And these are things that you think a lot about and reflect a lot upon, Pisces. And because you have problems with your level of self-esteem, you tend to sabotage yourself, and you feel as if you don't deserve to have all of the good things in life and all of the success of life. Now, also, there's a deep purpose, a subconscious purpose behind all of this, and that is that you have a tremendous urge to link up with your higher self. You've got a tremendous urge towards the spiritual side of life. And you do this through many times precipitating a crisis. You precipitate a crisis, you do allow yourself to get involved with drugs or alcohol or habit patterns of behaviour that you regard as your addictions. Now this is all part of a pattern of behaviour, Pisces, that you punish yourself, basically, because you feel as if you need punishment. But the deep urge that you have is to precipitate a crisis and to enforce solitude upon yourself. Through introspection and reflection, you bring about changes within yourself, and you call out in the midst of crisis to something higher than yourself, that higher aspect of yourself, to come and help me to become all that I can be and more. Now, you're very strongly attracted towards the spiritual side of life and the mystical side of life. You're attracted towards the water. You're very imaginative, but very changeable and adaptable. And you are adaptable, but the changes that you experience in life can sometimes be rather unsettling. You have a lot of stress and tension in your life, focusing through financial matters because you're rather impulsive with money, especially early in life. You can develop a bit more control later on in life through necessity, but you can be rather impulsive with money and careless with money in the early stages of your life. Now, you love the beauties of nature, the plants and the shrubs, and you love colour in the flowers and things like that. You love walking around among the plants and shrubs and beauties of nature. You're attracted towards a nice car and a colourful car. You don't like just plain black or white. You like to have a car that has colour about it. And as far as the home and the family and the domestic side of life is concerned, Pisces, there's many changes of residence and very, very changeable circumstances to do with family and the domestic side of life. You could even have two places to live in at the one time. So there's many, many changing circumstances also in your family environment to do with your parents. There may have been two sets of parents, two dads, two mums or whatever. And many, many changing circumstances to do with the domestic and family side of life. There may have been a twin in the family side and among your family. And there's many changes of residence and many changing circumstances, Pisces, as far as the domestic and family side of life is concerned. So you could have two places to live in, many, many different places to live in over a period of time, and a lot of insecurity and instability there to do with the domestic side of life and the family side of life. One of your parents may have been a twin or had twins in their extended family. Now, you seem to enjoy social activities around the home, and you love social activities revolving around the water too. You love going and putting a blanket down on the grass near the water or near the pool or something like that. And you really enjoy social activities that revolve around the water, so you like swimming and things like that. But you also like to entertain around the home and to bring friends home and family home and that sort of thing. So your social side of life quite often revolves around your family and your children. You love having your children around the home, and you really enjoy having extended family and their children and so forth around the home, all in a social sort of a setting around the home and through the family side of life. So that's an important part of your life. You can work in a restaurant or a place of amusement or entertainment, and it seems as if there's a possibility that you could work in a supervisory capacity. You could work with children, and in regard to the people that you work with, you do enjoy a lot of social activities with people that you work with as well. So you do like to be the centre of attention in conversation and communication in the job, and so therefore you can gravitate towards positions of responsibility and authority. Now, you do marry somebody who perhaps comes from a lower social scale than yourself, and you could meet that person through your job. You could meet that person through some health-related activity. Now, your job can quite often take you into a lot of dealings with the general public. You could have a job that's to do with food. You can have a job that's to do with restaurants and places of amusement. And you could have a job sometime that perhaps is to do with legal matters and the courts and things like that as well. So that'll just do as far as a little bit of a rundown on the way that you interact with the events and conditions and the relationships that you have in your life, Pisces. Now what I want to do for you is to look at the movement of Saturn by transit and Jupiter by transit and Mars by transit in 2013 and 2014 for you, Pisces. Now, you've got Saturn in the 9th house of your horoscope, Pisces, during the whole of 2013 and the whole of 2014. Now, what that's going to mean is that there's going to perhaps be some lingering illness or even the death of a relative who lives distantly from you, or it could be a relative on your spouse's side or partner's side. It could be a relative who lives distantly from you and far away. It can be the lingering illness of somebody that you are associated with or have been associated with through the educational side of things or through the spiritual or religious side of things. Now, it's a frustrating time for you, 2013 and 2014, as far as travel is concerned. Any plans that you've got for travel or travel in the mind through study, research and investigation or higher education or courses or anything that's connected with the spiritual side of life or the religious side of life can be a source of frustration, obstructions and delays for you, Pisces. So you could have plans for travel and those plans have to be delayed or put off or obstructed in some way. And there can be frustrations for you too with regard to taking on any course. There can be frustrations for you whilst travelling, so that there could be some unhappiness there or some illness whilst travelling. So that's always a potential there with Saturn in the 9th house, but certainly there's likely to be the death of somebody, a relative on your spouse's side or a distant relative or a relative who lives distantly from you, Pisces, sometime, or a lingering illness sometime in 2013 and 2014. Now, as far as Jupiter is concerned, Jupiter is in the 4th house of your horoscope in the whole of 2013. Now, with Jupiter in the 4th house of your horoscope, it's a very, very happy time for you to do with family and the domestic side of life and those who cohabitate with you in the home. There's a lot of social activities, Pisces, in the home and revolving around the family and the domestic side of life during 2013. And there can be a parent go for a journey overseas, or you could go for a journey overseas with a parent, or a parent could visit from overseas or from interstate or something like that sometime in 2013. Now, it's a good time for you for a change in residence, investments in property, land or mining, And it's also a favourable time for you for social activities around the home and to do with the family. There's a lot of family love there, potentially, Pisces, in 2013. And it's a good time for investments in property, land and mining. Now, Jupiter moves into the 5th house of your horoscope, Pisces, in 2014. And it's there for the whole of 2014. Now, the 5th house is the house of children. So if the children are old enough, one of them could travel. There could be a birth of a grandchild if you're old enough. There can be a tremendous happiness socially through your children. It's a very lucky time for you for gambling and speculative investments. But the most important thing is if you're in the market for a romantic attachment, 2014 is the year for you. It's very, very favourable to do with the romantic and social side of your life. So if you're in the market for a relationship, then that can be the time when something can really blossom. You can travel overseas for a holiday sometime in 2014. And it's a very, very happy time for you to do with love, relationships, social activities, matters relating to children, and also a very happy time for you to do with entertainments and amusements. Now, Mars is in a particular house of your horoscope, Pisces, for the first 6 months of 2014. Now, Mars usually takes only 6 weeks to transit through a particular house of the horoscope, but you've got Mars in the 8th house of your horoscope for the whole of the 6 months, the first 6 months of 2014. Now, when Mars is in the 8th house of your horoscope, there's a lot of inner stress and tension within yourself that you don't openly discuss with other people. There can be a lot of stresses and tensions within yourself to the point of precipitating some sort of a crisis. You have a tremendous stimulation of the sexual side of your nature, and there's a tremendous urge to transform yourself, and you can precipitate a crisis to bring about that transformation and change within yourself. There's possibilities of a lot of stress and tension in the first 6 months of 2014, Pisces, to do with joint finances that you share with your partner or spouse. And there's a lot of potential there for conflicts and arguments about joint finances or finances that you share with a partner. There can be, in the first 6 months of 2014, the sudden death of somebody. Not necessarily someone close, it could be by accident, but the word is sudden death of somebody in that first 6 months of 2014. And now I'm going to go through a few other things about where do you go from here, Pisces, so stick around now and we'll share some extra time together. Well, now that I've gone through all of that area of your houses where the planets have been sitting and everything, where to go from here? Just a little bit of an epilogue here to help you to understand how you can go on with the job now that you've been exposed to this type of understanding and expanded your understanding a little bit further. I want to help you to become more of who you really are and to take full advantage of the science of astrology and the science of meditation. Meditation is a wonderful science, and by practicing meditation you can keep yourself youthful and you can program to all the events of your life to occur more in accordance and compliance with your will, your conscious choice, more so than your subconscious will or your subconscious choice. And these events happen in your life most of the time by subconscious choices according to your attitudes and beliefs and your thoughts and your feelings and your decisions and your choices. They're your raw materials. and you bring those raw materials into events and conditions in your life through your desire, your imagination, and your expectation. Well, I want to help you to clean out those emotions and to clarify your thinking so that your beliefs and your attitudes are not your enemies and not creating negativities in your life. So therefore, I'm going to be sending you some printed pages of my out of my book, What Really Matters, which covers the science of meditation and reincarnation and astrology, and in simple terms that you'll be able to relate to. And you can read them if you wish, and you can then also become more of who you really are by getting the audio version of my book and listening to that and over and over again, getting that sort of knowledge and understanding into yourself. And I'm happy to do a lot of work for you also by doing your horoscope number 2. If you're keen to learn, I'm happy to do your horoscope number 2, which is normally $20. I'm happy to do that for you free of charge. So I'm happy to help you and encourage you to expand your consciousness. My material will lead you into deeper understanding about yourself and about how you can become more of who you really are and how you can create your reality more in accordance and compliance with your conscious choice and your conscious will, and become more financially independent, more successful in your work, happier in relationships, and so on and so forth. So I thank you for your attentiveness here, and I look forward to working further with you should you desire to go on into my teachings and become more of the giant that you truly are. God and Goddess love you and know your name, and they want you to become more of who you really are. Thank you.